The US presidential race remains extremely close with 20 days left before the election. Early voting has already begun in some states. Now, the candidates are crisscrossing the country, focusing on crucial swing states and the dwindling number of undecided voters. Rob Reynolds has more.
Madam Vice President. In an interview on the right-wing Fox News channel, Kamala Harris was asked about immigration and the economy, but kept turning the conversation back to Donald Trump and his fitness to lead.
That he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy.
Trump appeared on a Fox News town hall focused on women voters, defending his role in the Supreme Court's decision overturning a woman's right to abortion.
This issue has torn this country apart for 52 years, so we got it back in the states.
He responded to a question about fertility treatments, which some say may be put in jeopardy by state laws restricting abortion.
I'm the father of IVF.
Trump also doubled down on rhetoric denigrating Democrats as the enemy within.
They're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists.
Harris campaigned in Pennsylvania, accompanied by 100 Republican former lawmakers and officials who support her against Trump.
Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged, and he is seeking unchecked power.
Harris has raised about $1 billion for her campaign, but Trump has big money backers, including Elon Musk, reputedly the richest man in the world.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Musk has donated about $75 million to a pro-Trump political action committee, according to campaign finance disclosures out this week. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera.
Meanwhile, a judge in the US state of Georgia has overturned changes to election rules made by a Republican-controlled state board in August. Now, the judge declared that the 7 new election rules are illegal, unconstitutional and void. One of the rules required the number of ballots be hand-counted after polls closed. Now, Georgia is considered a battleground state, which could play a crucial role in determining the winner of the presidential race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. OK, for more on this, we're joined now by Joi Chaney, who is a political strategist and domestic legal policy expert. She joins us from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for being with us, Joi. First of all, can you just explain how significant this ruling is? And because the race is so close in Georgia, only a couple of points in it, could it actually have a bearing on the outcome of the election when it comes to Georgia?
Well, let's just say this. This is not about the outcome of voters and what they do at the election box. What this was a effort by these MAGA Republicans on the Georgia Georgia Board of Elections that were aiming to undo the election depending on who won. If it wasn't to their liking, then they were going to slow down the certification of ballots. They were going to make all the poll workers count the ballots. They were going to slow down the election process on the other end. It means that they are afraid that they're not going to win. And what we've already seen is that with only 2 days in of early voting, people are voting at record numbers. 500,000 people, nearly 500,000, have already voted. And we know that those people tend to vote Democratic. So they're hedging their bets, saying if it doesn't turn out the way we want, we can slow down the process and perhaps thwart the election, not just for Georgia, but for the nation.
Well, no doubt this has angered the election board and many Republicans in Georgia. Is this decision final, or can it be appealed and overturned before Election Day?
Absolutely. I mean, the case will go on for sure. I will say, though, interestingly, for all your viewers, even the Secretary of State in Georgia, who is a Republican, and other Republicans were challenging the Board of Elections at the state level. This is something that is viewed on a bipartisan level as being unconstitutional and, frankly, undemocratic. So it could be, if they were smart, they would see that there's a bipartisan group that are against their efforts to gum up the works in terms of the election because it undermines election integrity. So if they're smart, they'll leave it alone. But it's not just the DNC, it's Republicans as well. It's the strain of MAGA Republicans handpicked to be on this elections board. It's those people that are advocating for this, but no one who believes in voting rights is.
Yeah, there's presumably 7 swing states that are going to decide this election. Is there any evidence that this is happening in any of those states, not just Georgia?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have seen an uptick in anti-democratic efforts to undermine voting rights in nearly every state in America. That doesn't mean they're always successful, but there has been an onslaught of efforts. Many people did not like how many folks came out to vote and cast legitimate ballots in the last election. And they know they cannot win if people are able to vote. So they're trying to make it more difficult. That is something that we have seen. We've seen the United States Supreme Court undermine, including with a lot of Trump judges on it, undermine the Voting Rights Act of 1964. So we know that the attacks on voting rights are real, but I will tell you what we also know. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we're going to have to leave it there because we're running out of time. But Joi, we always do appreciate your input and insight into this. Fascinating to see how it's going to play out over the next couple of weeks. Joi Chaney, a political strategist for us in Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.